morning to you. Welcome to good morning to
Good
you.
morning,
Good morning.
Roses.
Welcome. Good morning. Welcome to VOP this morning. Well, I'm Moses Humphrey.
And I'm Esther Wachuku.
Well, the D-Day finally came yesterday, and the president has now sworn in his team of wise men
Indeed.
and with women as well, with whom he says the job of renewing the hopes of Nigerians can indeed be achieved.
Plus, one of the new ministers has a word for those who fall within his sphere of influence. Your houses will go down if you have had them built illegally. Now, those are not my words. They are those of the newly sworn in minister of the FCT, Iyesom Wike. One wonders if Wike could have started life as minister any other way than to send out this kind of warning.
Oh, well, these are the two topics of interest this morning. In the meantime, we'd like for you to click our subscribe button on our YouTube page. It's Voice of the People TV. Follow us, subscribe to our page, and on other social media platforms, it's at VOP TV Live. Well, we have Cyril with us in the building. Good morning, Cyril Abaku.
A very
Good
good
morning,
morning to
Cyril.
you.
You look good.
Cyril Abaku is VOP's in-house
Thank you,
analyst.
Esther.
Well, we'll be going into the cover pages of some papers this morning. Cyril, now, I am pretty sure that the WK's comment will make it to the cover
Most
pages.
definitely. most definitely.
All right. So let's start off with the Nation newspaper. Now we have these headlines from the Nation newspaper. How we will implement Tinubu's agenda by ministers. That's the banner headline. On top of that one, we have Nigeria's net foreign reserves at $3.7 billion, says JP Morgan. What Fagbemi should do as AGF by legal giants. FIRS steps up plan to prevent tax evasion by firms. Osun staff audit stalled by Assembly's action. And we also have cabinet members lay out priority areas. President demands performance, urges restoration of faith in government. And okay, we have 5 electrocuted, 4 hospitalized while erecting billboard. That's a tragic one. Okay. Well, these are the major headlines in the cover page of the Nation newspaper.
Okay, so interestingly too, we're moving on to another major headline this morning on the Punch newspaper where it says, Abuja land, FG may revoke land allocations, demolish 6,000 buildings, including slums. You see that story on page 2 of the Punch newspaper this morning. And the writer says, illegal buildings must go down. Wike tells ministers, ambassadors, others. Slums in Nyanya, Akpo, Idu, 27 others may be affected. Residents beg minister. That is a writer, the major headline on the front page of the Punch newspaper this morning. Above the masthead, FG may raise $17 billion from all asset sale. JP Morgan, you see that on the front page of the Punch newspaper, and that's on page 19. Also, government to revive Ajokuta Steel, Umahi plans road inspection. That's on page 20. Apparently, the ministers have begun work.
Oh, yes.
Board chairman, MDs buy additional 145 billion Naira bank shares. That's on page 19 as well. There's money in this country. All right, we have on the bottom page there, Tinubu warns ministers against ethnic politics, appointees unveil agenda. Bottom page, Ondo teenager confesses taking part in over 40 robberies. I want to reunite with Boko Haram husband, Chibok girl. That's on page 30 on the bottom page of the Punch newspaper. Okay? Navy arrests 10 oil thieves with over 100 jerry cans. And that's on page 4 on the front page of the Punch newspaper. And that's most of the major headlines on the Punch newspaper this morning.
Cyril.
Yeah. Well, so you've taken two national dailies. Let me start with the one I think the young man who said at 16 he had taken part in about 40 robberies, and they are already calling him Oyenusi or something like that. I mean, he's younger. I wonder how he could have taken to a life of crime so soon, and to have been this steep-necked in it, to have partaken in as much as 40 different robberies. But hopefully, at 16 he's not an adult, so he requires help, he requires assistance, he requires therapy, he requires psychiatric attention to know exactly where he has picked up this life of crime so early in, because I mean, if at 16 he has taken part in 40, it means he has a long career in the underworld ahead of him. I mean it's only logical to put it that way. But let's come to the main story of the day. Now that the president has his team of ministers, what are we to expect next? This is a team that, for once, we know is conscious of where they are conscious of themselves. Delelake has explained why the president reposed so much trust in him to make him Minister of Solid Minerals. Dave Umahi has already planned a road inspection tour. Wike, of course, yesterday, as soon as he was sworn, the next thing he did was to organize a press conference. His Minister of State was by his side, and this was vintage Wike, really, you know.
Vintage, that's the right word.
Yeah, you know, I mean, Wike doing what he does best. Now the Punch has taken taken the pains to outline the agenda and to look at the issues. The place that could likely be affected in Abuja. Abuja is quite expansive. I mean, if you've been there, it's quite expansive. There are many slums in Abuja.
Yes,
there are slums in Abuja, and then there are places. But my Rufai came 20 years ago there, but did the same thing. People went back, built even bigger structures on those same places where the old ones had been demolished and so on. It's not just about blowing hot. What I think we need to do is to talk the solution side of housing policy. What can we do to change things? Okay, how can we make housing more accessible to Nigerians? A lot of Nigerians, it is an aberration for you to live in an apartment for 20 years, 30 years, and you're not buying the house, you just keep renting it.
Is it possible strange that Mr. Mohammed Musa Bello, the immediate past FCT minister, wasn't active?
No, you know, the Buhari government and everything that they did, let's just leave them that they've gone. My own is, I may not even be expecting so much from this, but the point is they are aware that they're in government. That for me is key. It's primary. Be aware that you're in government, you know, because for all you care, if you go and check now, you may need to reverse a whole lot that former minister might have done. So these people come into government and we can't even pinpoint what it is that they are doing. The president's ministers, after the first term and second term, they couldn't really, I mean, if you brought a scorecard, perhaps only people like Rotimi and Mechi were able to bulldoze their way into achieving something tangible, something that Nigerians could see and touch and talk about. But for the rest of most of them, they were just, you know, basically there's compensation as IOU. This government is also quite overweight with politicians, but hopefully I think there are people who, Umahi did, I mean, quite considerably well as governor of Ebonyi in terms of roads and capital infrastructure, same as Wike. So these two men, of course, and a couple of others, there is a lot that Nigerians can expect from them if they're able to. My personal concern with being made a minister is not that people cannot perform or don't intend to perform, but the Abuja factor is quite a big factor. See, if you are governor of a state, you are probably born there, grew up there.
Since it's a topic that we'll delve into later on, let's not go too deep right now. Let's touch on another daily now. Let's look at, we also have the Vanguard here. So let's look at the Vanguard newspaper. The banner headline from the Vanguard newspaper reads, Tinubu to ministers, serve Nigeria, not regions or states. Underneath that one, subriders, directs Lalong Onyeji to negotiate with organized labor over subsidy removal. So this is when the negotiations will take place.
Will now begin.
Months after.
No.
Interested.
No. If I may just come in
there.
there.
Let me promises to protect Nigerian workers, guarantee their dignity. Ministers begin work. Report at ministries. Your house will go down if you violate municipal planning laws, Wike tells Abuja residents. AGF Fagbemi warns against delays of files. All right, so, and then, yes.
Yeah, I was going to, the story I wanted to react to was the labor story.
Yes, go on.
No, Lalong and Onyeji, having been sworn into office now, will need at least a month or more to properly, depending on how much time they need actually, to study the situation of things between government and labor before they will have a grasp of the issues.
But the president said that they should immediately go and have a dialogue with
Immediately go and have a dialogue. You won't just have a now. It's government work. You have to study. Have they been given the files? The person who was talking with them in the presidency, has he handed over the files to the newly sworn in minister? So it is when they get a hang of what the presidency was even trying to do, talk to the permanent secretary in the ministry, hold a meeting of the top leaders of the ministry. Then the minister then they will now go back and look at everything. Then go back and meet the president. Mr. President, this is the line of action we want to take.
Basically, this feels like delay tactics all along.
Well,
it's going to be a longer process.
Let's be blunt, please. Let's be blunt. Let's be blunt.
Well, Moses, my job is to give us the real picture, the reality. I mean, whatever we'll call it. But they will report back to the president and this is what we want to do. And seeing the president isn't just picking up the phone and calling him. Okay. You have to book an appointment with the chief of staff or with his SGF. So you book with the chief of staff, and the chief of staff checks the president's schedule to see when he'll be free. Then book an appointment. If the president is disposed to see you at that time, you go. Sometimes seeing the president alone you can book it one time, book it again and again and again.
I think I've asked you this question before. Is this administration testing the patience elasticity of the workers in Nigeria?
No, but I sincerely find now. So for example, on the issue of the labor,
because initially it was 8 weeks, all right, from when they started the conversation, they said in 8 weeks' time we will arrive at something. 8 weeks ended like on the 18th or thereabouts. Yes, about that time.
Yeah.
And now negotiations want to start. Serial.
Another fresh negotiation.
Serial.
No, this is the thing. Maybe we are not even noticing what's going on. The federal government has already ambushed labor by bypassing them to begin to say that they'll go to house to house to be dishing out rice and beans and ragare and cubes and crayfish and onion and salt and pepper and palm oil. So which means they will soon have labor to hang out there to dry. That's what they are doing. They want to cut labor off as much as possible. That's what I told you that this thing didn't follow a consultation, and that I feel it. I don't think it's the president's weakness or undoing. It is. I think it's a deliberate strategy to as much avoid consultations and just take a step that they feel. You see, it backfired in the area of subsidy. It also backfired in the area of the floating of the naira. Now I can tell you for a fact that until government comes out to explain whatever it is they've done, subsidy has come back.
But Sarah, how many states have, can we say for now, have begun to receive those palliatives?
No, the Kwara governor was very polite, kind enough to tell Nigerians that he had already received a first tranche of 2 billion naira. Have other governors said anything?
That's the truth. Now, that's the question I want to ask. Other governors got this money, but they kept quiet.
See, the thing is this. The thing is this. The president himself the presidency should not have released this money this way. Even if it was a grant, there should have been a check. There should have been a way to get them to be accountable. Grant means I give you. You don't need to tell me how you spent it. So this 5 billion naira is like, you see what I consider it to be. You know that in the supplementary budget, they gave 70 billion naira to the National Assembly, 35 billion naira to the judiciary, okay, another something billion naira to the Ministry of Agriculture for farmers and so. The governors didn't get anything.
So they want to get something from
How
this
can
one?
you not give governors something? Moses. How can you not give governors something? So this is the governor's own.
And it's
meanwhile,
even more suspect.
Meanwhile, there's an agent of federal government, NEMA, that normally has the purview of this sort of distribution of relief materials to Nigerians who have been told to deliver relief materials to a governor whose waters overflowed and caused flooding in the state.
Kogi State, yeah?
Kogi State, yes. Is it Kogi or Kwara now? Kogi State. But that same NEMA is not the one to give. So you see, this is, for me, I think, it's purely political. And I mean, when we have a leader who is heavy on politics, you're going to find this sort of. So it's where we are. If the labor leaders would not pull their weight effectively, they'll wake up one day to realize that everything's gone to the window. Because they said that when they went for discussions that they only met empty chairs. Didn't they say that?
Yes, they did.
So.
Empty
Yes,
chairs. And what did they do about that?
Nothing. So literally, it's a chessboard. President.
No, this is a chess game. The pawns will soon be out. We'll meet the castles and the kings and the queens and the
Okay.
and the knights.
So we do have one more national day.
No, sorry.
Which is the Daily
Let's.
Trust.
We still have some more headlines from the
Vanguard.
the Vanguard. So let's just take everything. That one was of interest to me. Niger, we are more likely to use force. That's coming from ECOWAS. Agbakoba talks new AGF on criminal justice system. And we also have this headline: gunmen abduct 8 NYSC members on way to camp in Sokoto. How PDP governors sent 10 ministerial nominees to Tinubu. Wike. 77 trillion naira debt may stall Tinubu's economic plan. Man, babies die as women deliver in toilet, says Benue IDP camp manager.
That is an unfortunate story.
Very unfortunate. Men in army uniform robbed, killed my aide. Senator Adiola laments. All right, so those are
the one
headlines
that
from the cover page.
was reported to have died in Lagos. Senator that is Yayi, right? I think
yes.
2 or 3 weeks ago, that his aide was shot and killed on the road in Lagos, and I was like, this is serious. I hope that the law enforcement is able to go look for these people and apprehend them. I mean, a senator's aide. This is it's big story. Except that because of the race insecurity has degenerated in this country, it wouldn't be. I mean, it's like just a piece of the.
But that's targeted. That's targeted.
Pure targeted killing. I mean,
That's
what's that?
Well, we need to know the reasons.
What's that?
That's
And this, so law
That's where
enforcement must get
investigation
to the root of the matter. And if indeed these people could dress in security, in soldiers' uniforms, and it means they had the motive, they had the means, okay, and they had the sophistication to be able to dress in certain way. Maybe they are even sponsored. So something has to be properly done to fish out who these killers were, to get to the bottom of the matter. Yeah. Now, I think there was another, is it the IDP or in Benue? These things that, look, we are not at war. Or maybe we are at war, but we are not at war actually. People are being in Benue, people in IDP camps are being attacked. And women are having to have their children in the toilets. Why? What does this even mean? And what does that even portend? Who are the managers of this IDP camps? How is it that people are having children in toilets?
It's terrible.
In Nigeria in 2023.
I don't even want to imagine that.
Come on. How would they survive?
All right, we need to be rounding off now. Let's just read out the headlines of the National Daily of the Daily Trust, where the major headline there says, stakeholders set agenda as ministers assume office. We have JP Morgan puts Nigeria's forex reserves at $3.7 billion. We also have illegal houses we go, according to Wike. I won't lie to defend the government. Troops rescue another Chibok girl. Oil prices rise above $80 a barrel in the international market. Man accused of killing brother's children remanded for 60 days. Multiple taxation, power, poor sales, top challenges of manufacturing. That's by Man. And of course, we have a Niger crisis. 2 million children need humanitarian aid, and that's by UNICEF. Those are the major headlines on the front page of the Daily Trust this morning.
Cyril,
could you take the one on the UNICEF story again?
About 2 million children need humanitarian aid concerning what's going on in Niger.
Okay, fine. So this ECOWAS has to factor this in. Like we say, you must separate the bad government from the good people. Make sure that whatever you want to do to put pressure on the bad government does not become a burden on good people. So there must be. In fact, I think that ECOWAS will even make its case better and more acceptable if they also, while they're talking about what they want to do with the junta, also talk about how they want to get by helping the people of Niger. Right now, it's a war of the mind before it becomes a war of guns and boots. You must make sure that people understand what it is you want to do. Of course, Niger is one of the poorest countries in the world, no doubt about it. Africa is in Burundi, Niger, and so on. But the point, so it shouldn't just be, what is democracy about in the first place? Democracy is primarily about empowering the people to transform their own lives. So they are not sitting down to wait for one monarch or one king or one absolute leader to tell them when to go to school, when to wake up, when to what sort of haircut to have, like it happens in North Korea. Democracy is about giving power back to the people. So if ECOWAS is doing anything to deepen that democratic culture among people, it will go a long way in making them see why Bazoum, this military junta can never be a solution to what they said they came to change. That's my take on the
all right, so thank you so much for being part of the paper review this morning.
My pleasure, Esther.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, up next on VOP this morning, what's next? Swearing in with the president's full
Cabinet.
That's the cabinet, I beg your pardon.
Yes,
in place, all eyes are now on the president's men. Can these men and the men and the ladies fix Nigeria? This is what we'll wait to see. Well, this is what we'll be talking about when we come back after this break.